Maclunky.
Welcome to round 4 Swiss of the Hex and NYC Planetary Qualifier, brought to you by Maclunky Gaming. Today, we witness a clash between teammates from KTOD, Swoo Titans John Tata and BobbySapphire. Joining us with expert commentary are Tower Number 9 and Josh from Next Gen Gaming SC. Enjoy the match.
So it looks like
we have the matchup.
Yeah, here in round 4, it looks like it's going to be a KTOD showdown.
Yeah, both players here using the KTOD playmats. And I believe it's going to be who is this? This is BobbySapphire versus Tata from the KTOD tournament team. I think that's right.
Yeah, I believe so. Now,
one of them is playing a Jango Fett Red, and it'll be interesting to see what the other one is playing. Might also be Jango Fett Red. I do see a 7th Fleet Defender there.
That's what I was going to say, because the last time we saw John, he was rocking the Jango Tarkentown deck as well. So, yep, there you go. It is Jango Tarkentown versus Jango Tarkentown. So back-to-back rounds, we've got a mirror match coming at you.
Yeah, important to play those mirrors. So John Tata on the left side, BobbySapphire on the right side, both from the KTOD group. So they have a a YouTube channel, they have like a Patreon thing, and they have a tournament testing team. And it'll be interesting to see how these players do. Always a little rough to have to play against one of your teammates early on in an event. I'll say that much, Josh.
Yeah, no doubt about that. You hate the friendly fire in these earlier rounds. And certainly,
but we'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens, and it should be interesting to see. Jango Tarkentown's a deck in a very interesting position because I think going into this season, it was actually the meta favorite, and people were considering it the deck to beat. But its performance in the actual PQs has been a lot weaker than I think people were expecting. It's not as if it doesn't do anything, but I think there have been, perhaps 2 PQ wins for Jango Tarkentown.
yeah, I can actually pull that up right here. I've got the screen. Yeah, you're right. Jango Tarkentown has taken down a couple planetary qualifiers.
But that is much less than even decks that I think people might consider, less meta. So, to put that in perspective, Han Red has 2 PQ wins, and
Right.
some of the, Sabine has 7, Double Yellow Han has 15, Bosk Green has 4. So Jango Tarkentown has put up some wins, but nowhere near what people were maybe expecting early on in the season.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. Jango was really the top dog kind of going into the planetary qualifier season, but things have turned around. And I think ultimately the matchup for Jango Tarkentown into these Han yellow decks, it's very tough. It is a tough matchup. And with Han just coming in so strong lately, it does make that path for Jango a bit more difficult in these tournaments.
We have seen John Tata defeat Han Yellow and win an event with the Jango Fett Tarkentown. I believe he won one of the STGCon 2K events. So he's an experienced player. He's had results against Han, and let's see what he can do with it today.
Yeah, that is a great point. John has been the master of these Star City Games events. He has multiple wins under his belt now, and yep, does have those wins against Han Yellow on camera. So John certainly knows how to play that matchup.
We'll see if he can maybe pick up a PQ win today to add to his SCG victories.
So it looks like here in the first game, John with the initiative and no one playing any units to open up the game in round 1.
Not a super exciting turn 1.
John is going to start things out with the first unit of the game, playing 7th Fleet Defender.
Nice. Also a handy unit to have here because unlike some others, it will not be removed by ISB Agent Tarkentown. BobbySapphire plays the same thing.
Yeah, we are really looking at a mirror match, folks. We've got the KTOD mats. We've got the 7th Fleet Defenders starting out as both players first play here in game one. Now, John does have the initiative. And John's going to open up with an attack to Bobby's base with 7th Fleet Defender.
Yeah, pretty basic game, pretty basic gameplay thus far. We'll see if things diverge more as the game goes on. Eco mode says they have the same coin too. Truly the most mirror of all mirrors. And yeah, BobbySapphire swings his 7th Fleet Defender for 3 damage to Tata's base.
And then John's going to play another 7th Fleet Defender. Does Bobby have another one to follow up here? No, he doesn't. He's got
No, it's
he's
an
got an
elite
elite P-38
P-38
Starfighter.
Okay,
Okay.
little different, little different.
We had to do something different at some point. Bobby breaks the trend. He takes the shield off of the second 7th Fleet Defender, and then John is going to play Daring Raid, defeating that P-38 Starfighter, and Bobby using the when defeated ability to remove the shield token on John's other 7th
And
Fleet
then he
Defender. There's
plays
another
Daring
Daring
Raid.
Raid.
Oh, man. What a
Insanity here.
scenario. Very mirrored gameplay here, though that the Elite P-38 does give BobbySapphire a slight advantage by clearing the shields on his opponent's 7th Fleet Defenders.
Yeah, that's a great point. John does have the initiative, but Bobby still has a shielded 7th Fleet Defender that could answer John's with Bobby's first action. So we'll see what John decides to do here at the start of round 4, the 5 resource turn. We are going to very likely be seeing Jangos come into play here in this round.
Let's see here. And yeah, Thrawn in chat saying, gotta think Bobby is slightly ahead after that, weirdly enough. Yeah, he is. He's ahead. He's got a shield still. Elite P-38 Starfighter is a very good card.
Yeah, that P-38 Starfighter really did some good things there with John having 2 shielded units. So John is going to start with 3 damage to Bobby's base with 7th Fleet Defender, putting that
Yep.
damage total up to 6. And now Bobby, let's see if he immediately removes
Yeah,
John's
he's
defender.
poised to clear his opponent's defender. We could potentially see, if he has a triple Dark Raid, he could potentially hit a Ruthless Raider and clear it with the 2 damage there.
Yeah, that would
Hard
certainly
to
be
say
nice.
exactly what he's doing here.
Open up that attack into maybe another unit or to the base later in this round. Now, I wouldn't be surprised at all if, here in this match, what these players find off of that triple dark raid, and of course, drawing the triple dark raid itself is going to play a big role.
Yep. Now it looks like Bobby's opting to attack the base here rather than clearing the opposing 7th Fleet Defender.
With that attack to base, we've got 6 damage on each base at this point, and John is going to deploy his Jango Fett first. Now the action back over to Bobby. We're going to see the Elite P-38 Starfighter, second copy of the Starfighter here in game 1, dealing a damage to Jango Fett. Bobby using his Jango's ability, exhausting John's Jango.
Ooh, but it's a sneak attack into a Ruthless Raider.
How about
And
that?
that is going to clear out the Elite P-38.
Yeah, that
And the Elite P-38 cannot damage the Ruthless Raider and then use Jango's ability to exhaust it because BobbySapphire has exhausted his Jango already to exhaust Tata's Jango, which now also means that that Ruthless Raider will probably get to swing in here for 4. Then at the end of the turn, it will be defeated when the sneak attack wears off, which will allow that ability to go off again.
So yeah, Bobby does deploy Jango and Ruthless Raider getting in for 4 damage. And after the 2 damage that was dealt to Bobby's base from the When Played ability on Ruthless Raider, we've got 12 damage on Bobby's base. And now he is going to go 3 damage to John's base with Jango. But at this point, John claiming the initiative still a little bit ahead in the race. And Bobby's got an ISB agent revealing his own sneak attack to deal the final damage needed to defeat John's 7th Fleet Defender.
End of the turn, that Ruthless Raider is defeated. That's going to be the when defeated effect going off. Another 2 damage to the base and the shield token cleared from BobbySapphire's 7th Fleet Defender that was still on field there.
Yeah, the sneak attack so good with Ruthless Raider being able to get that when played and when defeated trigger in the same round.
Yeah, the problem though is that it doesn't, that Raider is not permanent board advantage, and going into this next turn, Tada has the initiative, and has done more damage to his opponent's base, but BobbySapphire's board is substantially stronger at this time.
Yeah, you make a great point there. Bobby has the board advantage, and John is going to continue to be aggressive. 3 damage to Bobby's base, putting up to 17 damage on base. So just 8 HP remaining for Bobby. Now the action back over to Bobby. He is going to start with attacking John's base using the 7th Fleet Defender. Another 3 damage, bringing John's damage total up to 11.
I think it should be 12. I could be wrong.
Or is it
Yeah,
12?
there we
Okay,
go.
yep, there we go. Yeah, because he was at 9 plus 3, 12. See what John has in his hand to kind of replenish this board. Does he have another Ruthless Raider? He does. So he is going to use up his resources for Ruthless Raider, dealing 2 damage to Bobby's base, and he's going to deal 2 damage to Jango Fett, and Bobby's Jango will get exhausted.
That damage is adding up. Only what, 6 HP left for BobbySapphire?
Yeah, that is exactly right. And if there's no answer to Ruthless Raider being in play and ready at the start of the next round, John could win with that Ruthless Raider plus a pump, or even Jango plus a pump at this point.
Yeah,
Surprise
BobbySapphire
strike.
is now in range of a surprise strike from Tada.
So Bobby
On
is
the other
going
hand, he
to.
hasn't played any cards this turn. It'll be interesting to see what options he might have available.
Yeah, he does still have plenty of options. Gets another damage into John's base, knowing that John will just claim the initiative, having nothing left to do here in this round. So John has claimed. Bobby has 6 resources to work with and 3 cards in hand. But again, with John having the initiative, a surprise strike on either one of those 2 units finish this game with John's first action. Bobby is going to play Fett's Fire Spray, and he'll get in 5 damage to John's base, but John shows the surprise strike. He will win it at the start of the next round, and John will take game 1 here in round 4.
All right, Tada was falling behind a bit on the board, but he was able to do enough damage to his opponent's base that it didn't matter, and those Ruthless Raiders were key at pushing that damage in.
Yeah, the 2 Ruthless Raiders, so important in that match, and
Ruthless Raider
moving.
is a really strong card, and I think it might actually be poised to get even stronger as we see it potentially being used in the new Grand Admiral Thrawn leader, who can get extra value from that when defeated effect.
Yeah, absolutely. Will be a great card with Thrawn being able to essentially deal up to 4 damage to a unit and 4 damage to the opposing base. So, yeah, Ruthless Raider is a fantastic card into so many different decks. But it's just so good when paired with Jango Fett and being able to exhaust something while you're putting pressure on your opponent's base.
All right, the players are looking through the sideboards here. Now, I suspect this is the matchup they've both played a fair bit before. I think these guys are pretty experienced tournament competitors. I know they're on a testing team together, and I doubt they'd be the types of players who would neglect practicing the mirror. But it'll be interesting to see how the other rounds of this match will go.
Yeah, definitely. Looking to see what cards John is thinking about taking out. It looks like John is going to bring in 2 Bazine, and he is taking out Reckless Gunslinger. So the Bazine can be very important here because you can rip that Ruthless Raider from your opponent, or maybe the Triple Dark Raid. Triple Dark Raid is something we did not see played at all in Game 1, but I would not be surprised to see Triple Dark Raid make an impact in this match at some point. And I don't think John made any other changes outside of bringing in those 2 Bazine.
I do
But
see a battle droid token there from John, which I think might be reflective of running the I believe it's called On the Doorstep, the one that makes
yes,
3 battle droids and they come into play ready.
yeah, absolutely. I think it's a very interesting card, and it's really good with Jango. I mean, you get 3 1/1s in the ground arena that, you're perfectly fine running those units into, your opponent's units just to get the exhaust effect, right? Off of
Yeah,
Jango.
exactly. And
And
making those 3 battle droid tokens also is a way to push damage to the opponent's base if you're playing aggressively.
oh,
Yeah, and
absolutely.
there's the card highlight there on the left side for players who might not be as familiar with that one. So 4 cost Cunning Villainy event, create 3 battle droid tokens and ready them. And yeah, as you were saying, Josh, it has extra value for Django because he can use those battle droids. You're not too sad about losing them, and you can crash them into your opponent's leader to exhaust them or whatever.
Right. Yeah. And again, as you mentioned, it is essentially representing more damage from hand. You could get in, potentially 3 damage that round with the 3 tokens. And it also gives you more units to, buff with, say, a surprise strike, right? It opens up more units on the board going wide where you can pump up those units and help you get across the finish line. So I personally really like that card here in this deck.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this one goes. Will we actually see On the Doorstep hitting the field during this match? I'm not sure, but I do think it's a cool card. And I also enjoy just seeing some of the token cards seeing some play. I think that the token mechanics have been not quite as successful as I was hoping in the lead up to the set, but it'll be interesting to see where they go in the future.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I was really hoping that there would be some meta contenders with the token strategies, but up to this point, we have not seen that. Now, here in game 2, BobbySapphire will start with the initiative. He did choose to take a mulligan here. John satisfied with his hand. And it looked as though John had On the Doorstep in his hand. So, Tower, we might be able to see that play here in this round.
Okay. I am hoping for that On the Doorstep personally here,
Yeah.
but we could have some exciting plays of other sorts as well. And looks like I think he has finished that mulligan, and we'll see what he ends up doing. Last game, correct me if I'm wrong here, Josh, but I believe last game both players missed their turn 1 play. We'll see if it's the same this time.
Yeah, you are correct. Neither one of the players made a play on the first turn of the game. They both opened up with 7th Fleet Defender on turn 2. So here in this game, they are once again mirroring one another. We see BobbySapphire starting with Crafty Smuggler, and John says, all right, I will follow that up with my own Crafty Smuggler, and Bobby retains the initiative.
Yeah.
And BobbySapphire starting out with 2 damage to John's base.
Yeah, we'll see whether Tata just retaliates or whether he plays something else or what exactly.
Looks like he's going to
Oh,
pay
Lurking TIE
3.
Phantom here from John.
Okay, so the Lurking TIE Phantom can certainly put on some pressure. And now we see the P-38 Starfighter coming in for BobbySapphire, dealing 1 damage to Crafty Smuggler. So John's Crafty Smuggler now shieldless. And now John has to decide, does he want to attack with Crafty Smuggler, or does he just claim the initiative? And he is going to attack with Crafty, 2 damage to Bobby's base. And that does allow Bobby to hold on to the initiative.
Yeah, it's an interesting scenario here.
Something else interesting to note, neither one of the players used Tarkentown in the first game, so we haven't seen Tarkentown come into play. It's a lot of units that have 2 or less HP, so it's kind of hard to use Tarkentown in some of these spots, but now we've got the 7th Fleet Defender trading with the lurking TIE Phantom, dealing a damage to Crafty Smuggler, and we are going to see the first Triple Dark Raid of the match on John's side. He will take a look at the top 7 cards of his deck. He's going to be searching for a vehicle unit.
Yeah, Golan32 asked, do you all remember the double blue raid player's name? I guess it was the first game on stream. Um, yeah, the masked outsider suggests Link Wizard. That sounds familiar, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yes,
Ooh,
that's correct.
Geonosis Patrol Fighter from that Triple Dark Raid.
It was Link Wizard. Yep, the patrol fighter coming in and returning the Crafty Smuggler to Bobby's hand. And look at this. Now Bobby is going to play his own Triple Dark Raid. Now let's see what he finds off of it. Does he find the coveted Ruthless Raider? Because that Raider could take away the patrol
I'm
fighter.
not seeing it
Oh,
there.
I
I'm
don't
not seeing
see
it
it
there,
either.
Josh. I'm not sure. Does he have anything?
I can't. Okay, so he does
No,
get
there we go.
something.
Okay,
He gets
7th Fleet
the
Defender.
defender. That would have really hurt if Bobby completely whiffed there, but he does get the defender. So both of these units have come into play ready. John is going to attack Bobby's base for 3 with the patrol fighter.
Josh, if you're Bobby here, do you use your 7th Fleet Defender to clear out the Geonosis Patrol Fighter, or do you go for the base yourself?
I personally would play a little bit more conservative, and I would take out that patrol fighter because it takes away the card from John. So he wouldn't be able to have it returned to his hand, and that is the play that Bobby's going to make because I don't want him having that option. You know, when I'm playing a 7th Fleet Defender or a Lurking TIE Phantom, something like that later in the game, that
Yeah,
patrol fighter
I
can
I think
swing
I'm with you
tempo in
on that,
John's
Josh,
favor.
especially because y- being able to get it back to the hand from Triple Dark Raid and then potentially use it again, it seems like a tough situation for Bobby.
Now, what we see here is a very controlling line of play for both players. The 7th Fleet Defender defeated the patrol fighter, which removed the shield from the Fleet Defender, and that opened the door for John to play Daring Raid and defeat Bobby's 7th Fleet Defender. And then Bobby uses Tarkentown for the first time here in this match, taking out the damaged Crafty Smuggler. So now we head into round 4 with no units on the board. Now, John does have the initiative, and he is going to open up by getting his Jango Fett deployed first.
Yeah, after all that, after all those plays, it's an empty board with 2 leaders on it.
Yep,
Uh,
Bobby deploying his, and, John's slightly ahead in the race. He's got the action economy in his favor right now, right? He's got the initiative, so he attacks with Jango, 8 damage on Bobby's base.
yeah, Tada ahead on damage to base for sure. And if he can get this win, he will secure the whole match since he did win the first game as well. But I would not count BobbySapphire out just yet.
No, absolutely not. These are 2 fantastic players that have multiple top cut finishes and wins in larger events already here in Star Wars Unlimited. They both know this deck extremely well. They know each other very well. So yeah, certainly don't count Bobby out. He is going to attack with Jango into John's base. And now John is going to play Greedo. in the ground arena. First time we've seen Greedo here in round 4.
Greedo. Very annoying card, I think, for a lot of players in the early game. And even like later on, still a real threat and just synergizes especially well with Jango Fett thanks to that win defeated ability.
Yeah, Greedo really does synergize well with Jango, and he puts on good pressure as well, hitting for 3. Now there are plenty of ping options in this Jango Tarkentown deck, so Bobby could certainly ping it off the table pretty easily, but with the action back on Bobby, he has 5 resources. Does he have any substantial play here? We have not seen Bobby play a Ruthless Raider yet in this match. He's already used up 1 Triple Dark Raid in this game. Both players have used up 1 Triple Dark Raid. Not finding the coveted Ruthless Raider. And Bobby right now appears to be deep in the tank trying to figure out what is the best line of play. Being behind in the race and currently on the board. So Bobby is going to play Crafty Smuggler. That Crafty Smuggler, pretty good against Greedo. It can defeat it, and if Greedo did not hit off of that when defeated trigger, Crafty would stay on the board. And John has a second Triple Dark Raid. This could be huge. So John is going to go digging. Does he find Ruthless Raider here, or another way to put on big pressure here in round 4? And I don't think he's found Ruthless Raider, but he has found the P-38 Starfighter, which is going to deal a damage, removing that shield token from Crafty Smuggler. And now Bobby is going to play 7th Fleet Defender. Action back over to John. And John is going to keep the pressure on. Another 3 damage to Bobby's base, putting the damage total up to 11. And Bobby is going to claim the initiative. John will pass there. The P-38 Starfighter returned back to his hand. And because the P-38 Starfighter bounces back to hand off of the Triple Dark Raid, Bobby does have the board control in his favor now.
Yeah. Interesting interesting backs and forths here. We do still have Greedo. Greedo could potentially take out, we could see Tata swing Greedo into the Crafty Smuggler, defeat it, and then potentially also exhaust Jango if he hits the when defeated effect. But BobbySapphire does have the initiative this turn.
Bobby with the initiative. What is his first play? It looks as though Bobby has a Ruthless Raider in hand. That could come into play, either exhaust John's Jango or defeat John's Greedo. But there are so many options here, so many different lines of play that Bobby could take. But being 6 points behind in the race, he does have to make sure that he is taking the correct lines. It looks like he's lining up with Jango. And Jango is going to attack into John's base.
Yeah, both players have put a substantial chunk on the opponent's base. Looks like Tata has 17 HP left, and BobbySapphire has 14.
And John just opting to continue to be aggressive. So Greedo smacking into Bobby's base for 3. And now the Crafty Smuggler is going to attack into John's Jango Fett. It gets defeated, but it is going to exhaust John's Jango, which is certainly going to help things a little bit in this damage race. Oh, and John has a Ruthless Raider. He is going to remove the shield token from 7th Fleet Defender. Another 2 damage to Bobby's base. That's 16 damage on.
Ruthless Raider is just such a good card.
Oh, man, it really is. And, you know, I think Bobby has Ruthless Raider in his hand as well. But the problem is another play from Bobby, and you know good and well that John is taking that initiative. So he's very likely to start the next round having the option to it at the very minimum get 4 damage into base with Ruthless Raider.
Yeah, and as you say, I do think that is a bit of a minimum. I think you can maybe do substantially more than that. In fact, we could see this game ending soon if we have some attack buffs here from Tata.
Now Bobby is going to deal 3 damage to John's base, so that puts the damage total up to 11 for John.
14 HP to go for Tata.
And I think it's important. The question right now is, does Bobby have a way to exhaust next round with Jango after that first attack? So Bobby is going to, he's going to play sneak attack, sneaking in his Ruthless Raider. That's 2 damage to John's base. And now where does the other 2 damage go? It's going to defeat Greedo. And this opens up a trade possibility here. Or does he race? What do you think here, Tower?
Well, I think yeah, it's interesting. So BobbySapphire's, I think if they do go into a race, it's really going to come down to availability of attack buffs to, get that extra little push you need to close things out. So right now, Tada's taken 16 damage, or I'm sorry, Tada's taken 17 damage. BobbySapphire's taken 16 damage, so we're at 8, and we're at 8, and we're at 9 damage needed to win. Neither of those is in range of a surprise strike, but one more attack and then a surprise strike, and that could do it.
Well, now because of the sneak attack, the Ruthless Raider was defeated on Bobby's side, and he dealt another 2 damage to John's base. So,
Oh, good
so I
point.
believe now John is actually in danger
Yeah,
of
yeah.
losing to a surprise strike here.
You're absolutely right, Josh. That the Ruthless Raider being defeated at the end of the turn does put Tada into range.
So this is very interesting. So John, even if John had Surprise Strike, it's a 2-action game for John because he's
Right.
9 damage away. So John, at the minimum, needs 2 actions, whereas Bobby can win this game in 1 action with that Surprise Strike.
There's a surprise strike from Tada going into the base, 6 damage.
So that's
Only 3
22.
damage left on BobbySapphire's base after this, I believe.
So the question is, does
But
Bobby have a pump right here or a way to exhaust that Ruthless Raider?
I bet now this is a Jango deck. I bet he has something that can exhaust. If all else fails, he could
Oh,
crash his
right.
7th Fleet Defender into it.
Yeah, absolutely. So he has an out because he could exhaust it, but he's going to play P-38
Elite
Starfighter.
38.
So
Yeah, the
damage to
6
Ruthless.
damage from BobbySapphire's board is enough to win the game, but Tada might have a few things to say about that himself. Brings out an Elite P-38 of his own, and it's going to ping either the 7th Fleet Defender or Jango here.
Yeah, so John able to extend this game further because one of those 2 units will be exhausted. Tough decision here.
Now, we might end up seeing BobbySapphire having to take the initiative early. He is now dead in 1 action if any of Tada's units get a chance to attack. But
Yep.
what might he have to do with the rest of his resources here?
So he still has 3 open, and I believe one of his
Takes the
resources
initiative.
was Surprise Strike. So the question is, does he find another one? He needs to win in 1 action because there's no
Yeah,
way
and
he can exhaust all 3 of those units in 1 action.
right, unless he had, like, an out of aspect overwhelming barrage or something, but
Or
I
Cunning.
don't
I
think
mean, I
he
guess he
has it, and
could.
I don't think he saw the surprise strike, so I think this is gonna end up being a 2-0 win for John Tada.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I guess Bobby could be playing Cunning, but I don't see Cunning in his hand either. And that
Yeah,
is
there's the
going
fist
to
bump.
do it. John Tata taking the 2-0 win here in round 4 at the Hex & Co Planetary Qualifier. Some friendly fire between these two KTOD teammates, but John coming out on top in the mirror match.
Yeah, it is rough when you have to play against your own teammates early on in an event, but you know, both these players quite good. However, Tata ultimately taking the win, as we've seen several times before from him on stream with Jango Fett Tarkentown.
Yeah, John has been so good in the streamed matches. He has a winning record without a doubt on streamed matches so far between the Maclunky Gaming streams, and then he's also been featured a couple times at Next Gen Gaming SC. He's won there. So yeah, John has been quite good when he's on camera up to this point.
Experienced John Tata is an experienced tournament competitor. And
Absolutely.
you know, that one, you know, it could have been either player's game. If BobbySapphire had drawn a surprise strike in either of those last 2 turns, he could have won there with that. But you know, unfortunately for him, didn't end up seeing it, and Tata ends up with the win. I think there's a good chance we're going to be seeing both of these players in the top cut, but we'll have to see what happens. I would consider them both very strong players.
Thanks for watching and supporting Maclunky Gaming. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you next time.